Today's recipe calls for egg yolks. I'm going to show you how to make the classic, the nostalgic, the vintage, also known as the traditional way of making hollandaise. So with that said, let's get started.
The first thing we're going to do is juice one medium-sized lemon. You're going to roll it out on your work surface. This will help break up the membrane on the inside of the lemon, making it easier to juice and also giving us a higher yield. Now that you've made your lemon cry, you're going to strain it to catch any of the pulp and any of the lemon seeds. You're going to grab 4 large eggs, and you're going to separate the egg yolks from the egg whites. There's a few different methods to do this. My favorite method is to crack the whole egg in my hand and pass the egg yolk back and forth, allowing the egg whites to run through my little fingies, so what I'm left with is just the yolk. You can accomplish the same thing and use the eggshell instead of getting your hands all dirty, or you can crack the whole egg in a bowl and scoop out just the egg yolk, leaving the egg whites behind. If all you have left over is the egg whites, you can save those and use them for a different recipe like a meringue, or you can try to be healthy and make an egg white omelet and totally ruin it and make it unhealthy by adding a ton of hollandaise. Once you have your egg yolks separated from your whites, give your hands a thorough clean. We don't want to spread any bacteria. Now that you have clean hands, you're going to grab a small saucepan and throw it over low to medium-low heat. You're going to add 12 tablespoons of unsalted butter, and we're going to melt this until it becomes liquid gold. And you want to keep a close eye on your butter. You don't want anything to burn. Now that our butter is melting, you're going to grab another saucepan and fill it up with a small amount of water. This will create steam, which will heat up our bowl, which in turn will cook our egg yolks. Your water should not be touching the bottom of your bowl. If it is, you need to pour off the excess water. This is known as a double boiler, and this is a way of cooking something without making direct contact with the heat source. You're going to throw your pot of water over medium-low heat. You may need to adjust the heat up or down. The goal is to get our water to be at a light simmer. Now that our pot of water is getting all steamy and hot, you're going to grab a whisk and break up your egg yolks. The next thing you're going to do is add 1 tablespoon of lemon juice to your bowl. You may need to get a sweatband for this because you're really going to whisk your face off for this recipe. And give everything a good mix together before we throw it over our heat source. Now that we have those two things well mixed together, you're going to throw your bowl into your pot so we can start cooking our eggs. Unfortunately, this is one of those recipes that there's not a time, it's more of a visual thing. You're going to cook your eggs until they double in size and they slightly turn pale in color and they become nice and thick. Should take about 1 to 2 minutes. It's depending on how hot your heat source is. You may need to go longer or shorter than the 1 to 2 minutes. Once your bowl is over the heat source like this, you want to continually and constantly be whisking your face off to prevent your egg yolks from turning into scrambled eggs. And a good rule of thumb is once your egg yolks start to thicken up, then that means they're cooked. You may need to take your bowl off of the heat source to prevent anything from cooking too rapidly, and this will also allow the steam to be released so you're not trapping in too much heat. Now that our egg yolks have doubled in size and they have thickened up, we're going to start to add our melted butter. Technically, for a classic traditional hollandaise, you should be using clarified butter, which means you're taking out all the milk solids and milk fats, but I'm way too lazy for that. Now we're going to start adding our melted butter to our egg yolks. It's really important to add small bits of butter in at a time. You don't want to add all of your melted butter in at once. If you do so, you're going to end up with a broken sauce that looks greasy and gross. Once you add a small bit of butter, you really want to whisk your face off to bring the egg yolks and melted butter together. Once you first pour your melted butter into your bowl, you'll notice it sits on the top of your egg yolks, which means it's broken and it's not emulsified. So that means you really need to whisk it, and once you don't see that and your butter is nice and smooth, then you know it's emulsified, which in turn means you can add the next set of butter. You're going to repeat the same process until all of your melted butter is added to your bowl. And a little pro tip, you want to run your whisk on the sides of your bowl as well to prevent anything from getting all crusty and gross. If things are going according to plan, you'll notice that your hollandaise is starting to come together. It's starting to get a little bit thicker than what it was before, and it's doubling in size. Now that we've added the last bit of our butter, our hollandaise sauce should be done. Should have a nice viscosity to it. It's slightly thick, but not too thick, nor is it too thin. It should coat the back of a spoon really well and stick and not slide off. And if it's too thin, all you need to do is throw it back over the heat and cook it a little bit more. And if it's too thick, you can add small bits of water or more lemon juice to thin it out to the right consistency of your choice. Once you have the thickness figured out, give it a quick taste test and adjust the seasoning as needed. I added some salt salt to mine, and I wanted it to be more acidic, so I added some more fresh lemon juice to give it that lemon flavor and to really brighten up the hollandaise. Now that our hollandaise is done and you want to keep it warm, you can leave it over your double boiler, or in this case, you can throw it in a coffee mug or a thermos to keep it warm as well. Enjoy it right away over some eggs benedict, or throw a straw in that thing and drink up. Whatever you decide to do, just enjoy.
Alright, now that our hollandaise is done, let's give it the old tasteroo. So looking at it, it's nice and aesthetically pleasing. It's nice and bright yellow. Then the viscosity on it came out perfect. It's nice and velvety and smooth. Yeah, let's give it a shot. Our hollandaise came out really good. It's super rich and fatty. The lemon juice brings some acid to the table to help cut through all that rich and fat as well. And it also really brightens up the hollandaise sauce and brings some flavor to the table. All the salt we added brings out all the natural flavors as well to make it even tastier. Texture-wise, it's nice and smooth and velvety and airy, and it's the perfect consistency. Overall, this stuff came out really good. I'm so glad that worked out. I haven't made old school hollandaise like this since like 2011 or 2012, and I was a bit nervous to see if it was gonna still work or if I still had it or not, and thankfully I do. And if you've tried making hollandaise in the past and it didn't work, or you've never done it because it seems really daunting and scary, you just need to practice, be patient, and take your time while making it. Eventually it'll come together, and once you figure out how to do it, it's really simple and you can really flex on your friends and show that you can make it the old school way. And if you want to skip all that hard work and you don't have huge muscles like me that can rip a piece of paper in half, because that's how strong I am, I have a whole video on how to do it the cheater method using the food processor or a blender. So if you haven't seen that one, go check that one out as well. Hopefully you enjoyed today's video. Thanks for watching. I'm gonna go gag down some egg whites, but they're supposed to be healthy for you. Yay. Yeah, whatever. We'll see you on the next one. This hollandaise came out super good. It's super flavored, super. Big tasty. The lemon juice. I was a little bit nervous nervous to see if I still had it or not, and thankfully I still do.